Happy morning to you all. Blue Stars Higher Secondary School welcomes you all to learn the grammatical exercise active and passive voice. First of all, what is voice? Define voice. Voice is a grammatical category that applies to verbs. Voice in English, it expresses the relationship of the subject to the action. So it's the form a verb takes to indicate whether the subject of the verb performs or receives the action. It has two values. What are they? Active voice and passive voice. First, we are going to learn about the active voice. The verb is in the active voice if the subject performs the action. For example, mother gave me a new dress. Then passive voice. The verb is in the passive voice if the subject receives the action. So, which is the subject here? Mother is the subject here. So, mother performs the action gave here in this sentence. But in the passive voice, the same subject mother, it is acting as the receiver of the action, isn't it? That's why I was given a new dress by mother. So, the mother, the subject mother, receiving the action here. Now, active voice. Active voice indicates that the subject of the verb is acting because the subject does or acts upon the verb in such sentences. The sentences are said to be in the active voice. These examples show that the subject is doing the verb's action. The dog jumped onto the boy. Here, subject, the dog, is doing the jumping. Jumping is the verb. So, the dog jumped onto the boy. That's why we are calling it as the active voice. Next example, Christy will give a book report to the class. Christy, it's the subject, is doing the giving. So, the verb give. Next sentence, the computer ate my paper. The computer is the subject here. It is doing the eating process. So, we are calling it as the active voice. Next, we are going to learn about the passive voice. In a passive voice sentence, the subject and the object flip-flop. The subject becomes a passive recipient of the action because the subject is being acted upon or is passive. Such sentences are said to be in the passive voice. These examples show the subject being acted upon by the verb. The boy was jumped on by the dog. Boy, subject, was being jumped on, verb. A book report will be given by Christy to the class. Report, subject, report will be given. Given is the verb here. My paper was eaten by the computer. Paper, subject, was being eaten, verb. Reasons to use the active voice. Most writers prefer to use active voice because it's more direct. Compare active and passive. The waiter dropped the tray of food. This is in active voice. Then passive. The tray of food was dropped by the waiter. So, in this active voice, the subject acts as the doer of the action. But in the passive voice, the subject acts as a receiver of the action. Reasons to use the active voice. The active voice is less awkward and clearly states relationship between subject and action. Compare passive and active. Your request for funding has been denied by the review committee. Active voice. The review committee denied your request for funding. The active voice sentence pattern propels the reader forward through your writing, thus avoiding weak prose. When to use passive voice? In general, the passive voice is less direct, less forceful and less concise than the active voice. So, the passive voice is less direct than active voice. It is less forceful than active voice. It is less concise than active voice. Use the passive voice in the following situations. Use passive voice when you do not know or do not want to reveal the performer of an action. Use passive voice when you want to emphasize the receiver of an action. Examples: awkward passive and then deliberate passive. What is awkward passive? Just listen to the sentence. My bicycle was repainted by John. Deliberate. My bicycle was repainted. The performer is not mentioned and the emphasis is on the bicycle. Form of passive voice verbs. The passive voice requires a double verb and will always consist of a form of the verb to be and the past participle, usually the NAT form of another verb. Example: present, presented; wake, waken; learn, learnt. Like that, we are having some other verb forms, isn't it? That's why we are calling it as past participle. Active voice: John baked the bread. Passive voice: the bread was baked by John. Was is a form of the verb be. Yes, be form. We know the be form verbs. What are they? Am, is, are, was, were. Isn't it? Yes, next. Form of passive voice verbs. Writers should be familiar with the forms of to be, often called the linking verb, so that they can easily identify the passive voice in their work. Review the forms of to be. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. These are the be forms. Form of passive voice verbs. Note the forms of to be in the examples of the verb to kick in various forms of the passive voice. Is kicked, had been kicked; was kicked, is going to be kicked; is being kicked, will be kicked; has been kicked, can be kicked; was being kicked, should be kicked. Form of passive voice verbs. Often passive voice sentences will contain a by phrase indicating who or what performed the action. Passive sentences can be easily transformed into active sentences when the object of the preposition by is moved to the subject position in the sentence. Form of passive voice verbs. Examples: passive voice: the cookies were eaten by the children. Active voice: the children ate the cookies. Passive voice: the tunnels are dug by the gophers. Active voice: the gophers dug the tunnels. Let's practice. Directions: change the sentences below to the active voice. The statue is being visited by hundreds of tourists every year. Then you have to do it at your home. My books were stolen by someone yesterday. These books had been left in the classroom by a careless student. Coffee is raised in many parts of Hawaii by plantation workers. The last one: the house had been broken into by someone while the owners were on vacation. Then these are the sentences. We have to change it as passive voice. Children cannot open these bottles easily. The government built a road right outside her front door. Mr. Ross broke the antique vase as he walked through the store. When she arrived, the changes amazed her. The construction workers are making street repairs all month long. Now we are going to see the rules for changing active voice into passive voice. Identify the subject, the verb and the object. SVO. Change the object into subject. Put the suitable helping verb or auxiliary verb. In case of helping verb is given, use the same. But note that the helping verb given agrees with the object. Change the verb into past participle of the verb. add the preposition by, then finally change the subject into object. General rule according to some tenses. Out of 12 tenses, only 8 tenses will be applicable to this process. Simple present, present continuous, present perfect. Simple past, past continuous, past perfect. Simple future, future perfect. Now, change of pronouns. We have to change the given words as I, me, we, us, you, he, him, she into her, it, they into them. Infinitive. For getting clear-cut idea, this table is given here. Infinitive, to be washed. Simple present, it is washed. Simple past, it was washed. Simple future, it will be washed. Conditional, it would be washed. Present continuous, it is being washed. Past continuous, it was being washed. Conditional, it would be being washed. Present perfect, it has been washed. Past perfect, it had been washed. Future perfect, it will have been washed. Conditional, it would have been washed. Now, present tense. He writes a letter. A letter is written by him. Here we have to look carefully the verb change. Here writes. Write is in the form of verb plus s. Here it is changed as a letter is written by him. Here we used the helping verb, that means linking verb is plus V3 form of the verb write. Next, he does not write a letter. A letter is not written by him. This is the negative sentence. Does he write a letter? Here, this is the interrogative sentence. Is a letter written by him? They sell books. Books are sold by them. She helps me. I am helped by her. Next, we are going to learn about the present continuous tense. She is singing a song. A song is being sung by her. Sung, it is the third form of verb sing. She is not singing a song. It's a negative sentence. A song is not being sung by her. This is interrogative sentence. Is she singing a song? Is a song being sung by her? They are eating apples. Apples are being eaten by them. You are disturbing me. I am being disturbed by you. Next, we are going to learn present perfect tense. He has completed the work. The work has been completed by him. He has not completed the work. The work has not been completed by him. Has he completed the work? Has the work been completed by him? She has written 5 poems. 5 poems have been written by her. I have made some cakes. Some cakes have been made by me. Now we are going to see the past tenses. First, simple past. He bought a car. A car was bought by me. He did not buy a car. A car was not bought by me, by him. Did he buy a car? Was a car bought by him? She decorated the walls. The walls were decorated by her. I helped them. They were helped by me. Next, we are going to learn past continuous. She was washing a shirt. A shirt was being washed by her. She was not washing a shirt. A shirt was not being washed by her. Was she washing a shirt? Was a shirt being washed by her? Boys were singing songs. Songs were being sung by boys. Next, we are going to learn about the past perfect tense. They had won the game. The game had been won by them. They had not won the game. The game had not been won by them. Had they won the game? Had the game been won by them? He had collected coins. Coins had been collected by him. Next, future tenses. Future, simple future. She will write a poem. A poem will be written by her. She will not write a poem. A poem will not be written by her. Will she write a poem? Will a poem be written by her? You will receive the letter. The letter will be received by you. They will arrange the money. The money will be arranged by them. Next, future perfect tense. He will have received the letter. The letter will have been received by him. He will not have received the letter. The letter will not have been received by him. Will he have received the letter? Will the letter have been received by him? Now, declarative sentences. I write a letter. A letter is written by me. We must keep the rule. The rule must be kept by us. You bought a book. A book have been bought by you. He closed the window. The window was closed by him. She was writing letters. Letters were being written by her. I had posted a letter. A letter had been posted by me. I do not drink tea. Tea is not drunk by me. She does not eat a mango. A mango is not eaten by her. Now, imperative sentences. If the given sentence in the active voice is in the imperative, to get the passive voice, use let. Hence, passive voice is equal to let plus object plus be plus past participle. Help me. Let me be helped. Open the door. Let the door be opened. Don't eat this fruit. Let not this fruit be eaten. Sing a song. Let a song be sung. Next, interrogative sentences. If the question in the active voice begins with the helping verb, the passive voice must also begin with a suitable helping verb. Supposing the question begins with WH or how form, what, when, how, the passive voice must begin with the same. Are you writing a letter? Is a letter being written by you? Is she beating the child? Is the child beaten by her? Will you accept the position? Will the position be accepted by you? Who broke the window? By whom was the window broken? Why did you write such a letter? Why was such a letter written by you? Some special cases. If a sentence contains two objects, namely indirect object and direct object, in the active voice, two forms of passive voice can be formed. She brought me a cup of coffee. Here we are having, that means what? Which one we are calling it as a direct object? A cup of coffee is the direct object. Me is the indirect object, isn't it? So, I was brought a cup of coffee by her. Or, a cup of coffee was brought to me by her. Next example, the teacher teaches us grammar. We are taught grammar by the teacher. Grammar is taught to us by the teacher. Beware of compliment. So we have to be very careful in handling compliment. They made him king. He was made king by them. Infinitive and gerund. I want to shoot the tiger. I want the tiger to be shot. I remember my father taking me to the theatre. I remember being taken to the theatre by my father.